Set, the envious god. The goddess Isis, great-granddaughter of Ra, was beautiful in every way. Humans gravitated towards her naturally. She listened to the worries, hopes, dreams of everyone, from the richest to the slaves. She listened to those who were abused, and even to their abusers. And by listening, she helped them understand their own thoughts and find their own paths to solving their troubles or fulfilling their dreams. In a sense, it was through Isis's faithful and careful listening that human beings really learned to trust in the deities. She wished strength and health for all of them. She wished a good life. And so she wore the tajit, a girdle with a knot at the front, and carried in one hand the ankh, a small straight key with 2 straight arms and a loop on top. Both the tajit and the ankh were symbols of life. In her other hand she often held a simple wooden staff. That wooden staff was useful when she walked with her brother husband Osiris in the fields. Osiris loved to wander among the animals, particularly the animals that humans quickly gathered around them, and even more particularly those fat woolly sheep with the wide-set eyes that made the little ba-ba noise Isis found so pleasing. In fact, Osiris was so fond of sheep, he wore ram horns on his crown. He was a benevolent god, bringing robustness to the sheep and fertility to the land. He taught humans how to plow, and he gave them laws to live by, rising to become king of Lower Egypt, and then, so popular was he, king of all Egypt. And so it was impossible for this benevolent god not to love his ever so benevolent wife, Isis. He adored her. They were meant for each other. Their brother god, Set, watched them gaze at each other, this Isis and this Osiris, eavesdropping on their fond murmurings. He could smell how they changed when they approached each other. Osiris grew musky, like a young man. His muscles rippled under his skin. Isis became as fragrant as those water flowers she picked so often, those blue lotuses. She grew intoxicating, as though her very essence was lotus oil. Set had a sister-wife of his own. What was her name again? Oh, yes, Nephthys. But Set couldn't think about her. He couldn't even look at her. He looked instead at Isis. And he looked at Osiris. He looked until his eyes burned as dry as the desert he prowled. Then the strands of envy twisted even tighter around Set's innards, for his brother Osiris fawned over Set's son Anubis. Set's teeth went grimy with disgust, and Anubis, the ingrate, he responded to this attention, caring for his uncle Osiris a little too much. He even seemed to take after him. Intolerable. It was Set the boy should love like that. So Set was glad when the boy left home to go to work in the underworld duet. Who needed a son like that around? But Set still had to watch Isis's face as she gazed at Osiris. And now he looked around and noticed how humans adored this sister and this brother, the ones they had chosen as their queen and king, and his top lip curled. There were so many humans by now, they just kept multiplying, and that meant Set's brother Osiris was king of far too much, and loved by far too many. Sometimes a brother doesn't need a reason to be spiteful towards another brother. Set was almost sure he would have hated Osiris no matter what, regardless of how Isis loved him, regardless of how his own son Anubis admired him. But the way all those people loved Osiris, well, that was beyond the pale. King of Egypt. Bah! Set's inside swirled like the very strongest of tempests, with lightning and thunder and shrieking winds. And in this stormy state, he vowed to himself to crush Osiris. Set held a banquet. He arranged cones of scented fat in a large circle and set them ablaze to keep away those pesky mosquitoes. He gave the goddesses lotus flower necklaces, knowing, of course, that this would endear him to Isis. He filled a basin with sparkling clean water for everyone to wash their hands in. Then he served them bread and great quantities of beer. As they were lolling around, satiated, he pulled a cloth away to reveal a beautiful box. Osiris ran his hand appreciatively along the intricate carvings. "Where did you get this, brother?" The combination of gold gilt, the color so dear to the great god Ra, and deep blue paint, the color so dear to his beloved wife Isis, made the box nearly irresistible to the unsuspecting Osiris. "It is superb, isn't it?" Set said as he leaned in towards Osiris with a brotherly intimacy. "I'll tell you what. Whoever fits perfectly in this box, well, that's the rightful owner of it. I will regale that person with this fine box." Each guest took a turn at lying in the box, but each was too short or too long or too fat or too thin. In contrast, Osiris fit perfectly, quite naturally, for Set had taken all the relevant measures of his brother as he slept, and had the box built just so. The instant Osiris lay inside, Set and his helpers rushed forward, closed the lid, and sealed it. Set lifted the box over his head and flung it with all his might into the raging Nile River. And for the first time in so long that he couldn't remember, Set felt triumph. He was rid of Osiris, rid of the scourge of his life. At last he could be all he wanted to be. He stood in no one's shadow. Such is the brutality that unchecked envy can wreak. But good has its own way of responding, and both Isis and Osiris were deeply good. This story was far from over.